Hey everybody, it's Andrea, Bipolar Phoenix. Here to talk to you about mental health this week, as usual, supporting my book, Bipolar Phoenix, which I'm hoping will come out in October for World Mental Health Day, October 10th. But to support some of the concepts that I talk about in my book is about coping with mental health and mental illness. Whether you have a diagnosis or whether you just have some environmental struggles going on with COVID, temporary things, there's different ways to deal with things. And one of the things that I've done in my life is I had a psychiatric service dog. So I had, I guess, not pet therapy, but along those lines of had animal support to help me manage my bipolar disorder. And actually there's this story and a chapter in my book about my dog Loki and how he helped me. But I've been living in Singapore for 9 years, and I encountered a new kind of therapy, and it's actually, my insurance covers it, and it's called equine therapy. So it's working with horses, and I want to show you the horse that I get to work with. Let's see if I can get Mimo up here. There's me and Mimo. Beautiful horse at the Polo Club in Singapore. So what I want to do now is tell you just a little bit about the therapy from my experience. And then I'm going to bring on the therapist, the equine therapist, which is Cathy Livingston. I've known her for almost the whole time I've been in Singapore. I worked with her at a girls' home where she was the head clinical psychologist for abused teen girls in this home. And I met her, and then I heard about the equine therapy and thought, I need to do something different. I've done a lot of talk therapy. I've done a lot of sit down, try to figure it out, words, strategies, and all that. But I wanted to go deeper. And with the equine therapy, it allowed me to connect with the animal. And one of the things, and it's hard to describe this, and we'll talk about it, is that you have to connect your heart and your mindfulness to the animal, or the animal won't come to you. The horse won't come. So that's my first thing I want to say, is that this was really cool because it taught me how to calm down inside, not just talk about calming down, not just say, oh yeah, okay, I'm good, but actually feeling it inside your body, which is the calming, that fight or flight response that will help you in the moments that you're struggling with your illness, with your anxiety, with your depression, with your anger, with your bipolar, anything. It teaches you in that moment to practice that mindfulness and to be there and be present. And to have the response of a beautiful animal like a horse coming towards you and walking towards you is just the most amazing feeling. And I felt just a tremendous amount of success in healing myself and helping myself. So I'm going to bring on Cathy Livingston to talk about equine therapy. Hey, Cathy.
Hello. I love that picture.
Yeah, and for everyone who's watching or watching the replay, one of the sessions I did with Cathy, actually, we used a drum. And maybe Cathy can talk about this later, but the picture of me with the drum and the horse is just really cool, but I couldn't find it. So here we are. So Cathy, can you just introduce yourself and tell everyone about your background, where I know you're American, or where you're from, and how you got into actually equine therapy. So hit us with that intro.
Wow. Well, so I'm from the States. I grew up in Texas, thus the horse, right? I mean, I was a cowgirl. I used to compete in rodeos and.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. I didn't know you did rodeos.
Oh, girl, I rode a bull once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's not a therapeutic animal. But so anyway, I moved to Singapore in 2000 for what was supposed to be 2 years. And as so happens to many of us, 20 years later, I'm still here. And I started off doing youth work here. And then I realized, wow, I'm only scratching the surface. I need to figure out how to really go deeper with people and help them in the issues they're struggling with. So I went and got my master's in counseling, and only got that in 2010. And went on to, as you mentioned, the Girls Home Day Spring Residential Treatment Center. I was one of the founders and started doing, I was a clinical director there. and then moved out in 2015 to do private practice. And in that process with Dayspring, I really loved the experiential piece. You know, we would do recreational therapy, and we also would go out and work with Equal Arc, and our girls would go through a week-long program with them. And Equal Arc works with horses, with the girls doing at-risk girls doing equine-assisted learning is more what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
When I decided to go into private practice, Equal Arc asked me to come be like a clinical supervisor to their team there that worked with the equine-assisted learning. And so I did that for about a year. I'd go out for about once a week and work with them and kind of clinically supervise. But I wasn't trained yet in equine-assisted therapy. But it gave me that drive to say, man, this is like my love, right? It's bringing the horse piece together and the clinical piece together, and in working with youth or adults. And so I found a program in the US called Natural Lifemanship that's all based on neuroscience and trauma and the brain and partnering with horses. And so I went there and got trained. It's been about 3 years now in what's called trauma-focused equine-assisted psychotherapy. It's a big word that makes it sound really smart. So that's kind of a quick look into my journey.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I really had a strong response to this kind of therapy because, as you mentioned, it goes deeper and it goes past what you can say. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm fine. And they just listen and just talk lip service to the therapy. And this therapy, you can't escape from this. You have to do the work or it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really work, or doing the work is part of the healing process. But can you talk a little bit about how that works with the brain and managing, I guess, you know, trauma or those moments where people are in crisis? And then tell me about how the horse works and how does that connect?
How the horse works.
You know, like the brain, and they're the prey animal and all that. I love that description.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I already forgot your first question.
Well, just how the brain works when we're in those moments of crisis and yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll kind of go from the perspective of the horse as a prey animal, right? So a horse is a prey animal. I mean, they're hunted in the wild, and therefore the part of their brain that's highly developed is the brainstem, fight, flight, freeze, right? Mm-hmm. And so we as humans are predators. We may not act like it, but we are. And so a predator, often, like if you think of in the wild, a lion approaching a herd of zebra, they try and kind of fake the zebra out. I was watching this the other day on TV, and they'll kind of sit in the tall grass and look around like they're not really doing anything, but there's intention. I'm going to catch me a zebra and kill it and eat it. That's horrible, I know, but it's
nature.
It's nature. And but so the zebra can sense intention. Is the lion just there to go take a nap in the sun, or is he there to kill me? And they can sense that because they're prey animals. Our senses are very high. Well, same as us, when we approach the horse, I'm not sure this is a good segue, but when we approach the horse, what I'm trying to get at is congruence. And you mentioned it a minute ago that I can't walk in and say, oh, everything's hunky-dory, I'm great. But inside, I've just had this traumatic encounter with my husband or my best friend or my boss, you know, and I'm so upset internally, but I'm going to pretend everything's okay. There's no pretending because I need it. And like you said, they're not going to respond. I think that's a word you were looking for. Our goal is to connect with the horse, to build that connection and that relationship, and it's experiential. And you know what it feels like when you get that. It's like incredible. But I have to be I have to be what I am presenting outwardly, I have to be experiencing inwardly for that horse to connect with me so that the horse feels safe. If I'm not, the horse doesn't feel safe and he's going to go off and do something else. If it's a high anxiety horse, they may, and I think you experienced this, where Mimo started running around. And so whether it was external things that were scaring her, like the big trucks or whatever, horses live in that brainstem, so they'll go there quite quickly. So when we have experiences, whether it be trauma, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, often we'll go into our brainstem for survival, fight, flight, freeze. And we can't access our neocortex, which is our thinking brain. So in the equine therapy, we're really working a lot with building those connections from bottom up, from brainstem to the limbic system, to the neocortex, back down. We're building neuro connections in our brain, those pathways that somehow have gotten maybe more developed in our brainstem. And so as we work with the horse, like you said, I have to be so intentional to notice what's going on and to regulate and to be intentional with my whole being and connecting with this huge 500 kg animal that's either running away from me or coming towards me. Or when Mimo gets scared, she likes to run towards us and wants us to hold her. I'm not sure. It's scary.
Well, I wanted to jump in and kind of tell everyone who's watching what that experience was like for me. People know me. I get angry. I have anxiety. I pretty much lay it all out there. And I was in the arena, and I was in the middle of the arena, and I don't remember if the dumpster dropped or something spooked the horse, Mimo. And she started running around me, all around the arena. And I stood in the middle and said, I have no experience with horses. I don't know what to do, but I just put my hands on my hips, which I know is kind of maybe aggressive, but I'm like, I have to be calm. I have to be calm in this moment because I don't have control. And I think that keeping myself calm was a really hard lesson. And it was just like, it's going to be okay. Cathy's there. Cathy will get the horse. And I just need to be calm. And that really, really forced me to do the work, calm down, feel inside that you're okay and you're safe and it's going to be okay. So I don't know if I'm saying that as strongly as I mean it, but I felt it, like you said, I felt it really inside, not just saying it to you now, but that I really had to calm down. And eventually the horse calmed down and we moved on. But that was a big moment for me. And another one of those moments was when she came to me. And I was just really, really calm. There was two things that we did that I wanted to ask you about. The first one is the turning of your heart towards the animal. Can you talk about that part of the therapy and how that works?
I like how you said that, turning your heart towards the animal. I like that because the way that I always say it is, it's energy, right? We hold a lot of energy in our core. And so we're asking the horse, everything is nonverbal. And I think this is what you're referring to but I like your terminology because I've always tried to figure out a better, not so ooh kind of way to say it, especially to the teenagers. It's like your energy, but I like turning your heart towards, but it's like when somebody walks in a room, you can sense their energy, their vibe. I guess that's a good, the vibe of what's going on. Well, the horse can sense it even more because, again, they're that prey animal. But they can sense when we're asking them things. It's not like they can read our thoughts, but if I'm looking at Mimo and I'm throwing my energy out there or my heart towards her or my vibes, it's like, and asking her for connection, and I'm congruent with, I feel it. I want to befriend you. I want to have a connection and a relationship. And I'm asking you with my energy. So we start with asking with the lowest amount of energy, and then we might increase it if they're ignoring. But at the same time, we increase our energy, but we have to stay in a state of calm. And so that's something that clients really have to learn is how do I make a request, but stay calm and grounded. And the horse senses that.
And that's the moment when it works, when I made that connection that Mimo would turn her head and then she would slowly come toward me. And I had to sort of keep calm and say, oh my God, it's working. But keep calm. There's the negative energy, which is anger, fear. And then there's positive energy, which is too much, so I still had to keep calm and just, I was like, please keep coming towards me so I can feel that this works. But when she does that, it's like magic. I mean, when she looks towards you, the head turns, the big head, and they look up and start walking. And you're like, oh my God, there's the trust and there's the connection. So it's a really beautiful thing to have that success, if you will. The other thing that we did that I thought was really cool and that helped me make a connection with Mimo and calm myself too was the drumming. We used the hand drum. And can you talk about how that works and why that works?
Mm-hmm. Right. So first of all, let me kind of, when you mentioned Mimo coming towards you, I want people to know that she was not on a lead rope. She was free.
Yeah.
She was what we call at liberty. She was free in this arena. So the horse has a choice, right? In relationship, we have a choice. And so that's what's so powerful about it is, again, this big animal making a choice to come and connect. We're not forcing her to do anything. And that's the felt sense, the beauty of it. The drumming. So sometimes we just create a rhythm. Rhythm regulates our brain. So when we're having an anxiety attack, when we can't think, when there's too much, whatever it may be, our brain has gone out of rhythm. And we need, our brain develops through rhythmic, patterned, repetitive input. And so if we haven't had that in our life, which many of us have not, we have to kind of rhythmatize, I don't know if that's a word, our brain. It is now. And so we want to create some rhythm. That's why using or partnering with horses is so huge, because they have rhythm. The steps is rhythmic. Their breathing in a calm state is very rhythmic. The way they eat, the grass, the hay, very rhythmic. So what we were doing with the drum is creating a rhythm through clapping, through a drum beat. So a lot of times I'll give people a drum, just a little hand drum, and say, create a rhythm. However you feel, create that rhythm. And it starts to regulate their brain, which regulates the nervous system, which the horse, you saw Mimo just immediately respond to that.
Yeah.
Very powerful because, the rhythm she probably likes too. It was a pretty nice rhythm, but the point is you were regulating your nervous system. And as you did, because you were sitting down, I believe,
right.
The first time. And so it's just this really getting in touch with yourself, creating that rhythm, getting your brain to regulate, which regulates that nervous system, which the horse feels safe and is like, I want to come connect with you. You're pretty cool.
It's always great when someone thinks you're cool, but when the huge horse, thinks you're cool, like it's a whole different level. Another part of the sessions that I had with you was a harder part for me, which was just walking with Mimo, just holding her lead. You're not guiding them, they're guiding you, but you want them to walk with you. And I remember feeling like, I don't know horses. I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But again, coming back to that forced calm, that's what I always say about all therapies. You have to practice stuff to make it work outside of therapy. Yeah. And those moments were like, how do I walk in rhythm? How do I walk normally? How do I walk casually? Don't step too close to her. Don't step too far away. And putting your hand on the horse as I was walking with Mimo. And maybe people are saying, oh, I could never work with a horse. I'm scared. That was kind of how I was feeling at the time. And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm doing this right. It's just walk with the horse. Can you talk about that, that aspect of the session of what does it mean to walk with the horse and how does it help?
Wow. Sorry. I didn't know you were feeling all that. Gosh.
Oh, no, it wasn't bad. I don't have any experience with horses. I'm a risk taker. I like to try new things, but I was like, I don't know what to do except, yeah.
And just to speak to that is that I would never throw somebody out there if it wasn't safe. Typically, I'm always with them in the beginning, because most people in Singapore have never been around horses. You don't have to have been. I mean, that's the beauty of it. But I am safety first, and as of yet, nobody's ever gotten hurt at all. But I think that's beautiful that it increased that window of tolerance for you. You had to kind of figure this out, right? And I think my first thought was, wow, you're thinking too much on kind of, am I doing this right? And the point is to just be in the relationship. There is no right or wrong. It's like, and right, I mean, in life, it's so performance so often. Am I, with even our closest friends or partners, it's like, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I say that? Oh, but with the horse, they're so in the moment that we're going to do lots wrong, but we're going to do a lot right too. And they are very forgiving. They want you to just show up as you are. And so when you're walking with that horse, it's like you said, you're not pulling on them. They're not pulling on you. It's just walking in this beautiful connection together. And that's the goal, is that I'm connected to you. You're connected to me. I'm showing up as I am. You're accepting me. And this is life-changing, right? We're damaged in relationship. We're healed in relationship. As we experience that kind of acceptance from that in the moment experience. If you're thinking too much and I'm not doing this right, oh my gosh, they're not going to like me, then most likely they might comply and walk with you, but they may not really connect. And for that felt sense of connection, because that's what starts to change us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I wasn't sure, and that's just who I am. I overthink for sure, but I could tell the difference between a connection and not a connection, even though I hadn't been around horses. So I was learning a lot in the sessions as I went, and more building on that. So when I could feel it, it was like really relief, and it felt really nice. Were you going to say something there?
No, I love that. I love that you could feel it, because
the difference, yeah.
Explain it, right?
Yeah.
That's why the experiential therapy, and you mentioned it in the beginning, it's like you can sit and you can fake your way through. I mean, hopefully nobody does this, but through a talk therapy session. I mean, I'm a talk therapist as well. I mean, so I can only do what I can do with what people tell me. But the horse tells me a lot about what's going on with the client. So I had a client tell me, Mimo is my lie detector test. Because she never, right? You can't, because you can come in and say, yeah, I'm great, but then Mimo's telling me something different by the way she's responding. Her ears may go back, or she just doesn't want anything to do it. She's very communicative, as they all are. And it gives us so much more information, even as you're walking with the horse, right? I can tell, is the horse putting her head down and the head's to the ground the whole time? That's compliance. That's not connection. If I'm with a person and they're like constantly texting, I'm with them. I'm attached, but I'm not connected, because they're like, and I'm like, hello,
Yeah. I was wondering if it's fair to say that when we learn from equine-assisted therapy to be authentic and to become in your approach to relationship with the horse, can we translate that? How do we translate that into the real world with people?
Please do. Yes, please do. That's the whole point.
How does that work?
I think, and my hope is, as I've done this work, I honestly feel like I get a lot of therapy when I'm out there just being with the horse. And it has taught me, and I don't know if you experience this, that felt sense. I know what it feels like. Now I can tell in my own relationship, am I connected or am I disconnected? Yeah. Right? So we can feel it. And so even our relationship patterns, we will carry out into the arena with the horse. Whether it be insecurities or being in control or negative thinking, whatever it is, we carry out there into the arena. So we're working on all of that. And the hope is, yes, I want to always ask, what did you learn that you can apply out there in your life, right? Because the whole point is connection with self, connection with horse, connection with others. We want it all to translate. And I've seen it happen over and over again, right? Where it just does, and it happens somewhat naturally. Yeah. So we definitely want that to happen.
Yeah, it just kind of clicks, and I don't do it as much as I would like to, but I remember that connection, and when it's there, I can recall it. I'd like to, as you know, I'd like to do more work with you and Mimo. It's just been hard, as it always is, to schedule things. But I think the consistency, as you've mentioned, is very important to building. Just like anything, you got to see people, you got to see the horse, you got to build the relationship. I think a lot of people are wondering, well, how can this help me? I have this, I have that. Can you mention what this kind of therapy can help with? Maybe whether it's conditions or experiences. Can you tell people who are watching, how could this help different types of problems?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think so. Even though I'm trained in trauma-focused equine-assisted therapy, I just wanted to say it again. It's not just for trauma, right? I have people that come out that have depression, that have anxiety, that have some kind of diagnosis. People that are having relationship issues, right? I mean, because so much of it is relational. I have from young people, I think the youngest that I'll probably take from now on is teens. I'm not so good with kids, I realize. But I have had, the youngest is 9 years old, up to, adults that are middle-aged adults or whatever. So, I mean, I think any kinds of issues, negative beliefs are huge, because if I'm out there in the arena, poor self-image, self-esteem. If I'm out there in the arena and I'm thinking, this horse is going to hate me, nobody likes me. Well, and yet I'm asking it something, or it's we have to learn how to experience actually the horse liking us. Well, maybe the horse will like me, maybe not everything. Maybe the horse will go off, or it will get scared by a truck, and maybe that's not about me. Maybe there's other things going on in this horse's life besides me. It's not always my fault. And I think that's quite important, is to just recognize other things going on, as well as, what's my responsibility in this? Where do I need to change and grow? Anyway, I hope that kind of answered. So I would say anything that you would want to go into therapy for in an office, if you want more of an experiential. I also work with other therapists. Sometimes we do kind of a partnership where I'm the adjunct therapist. So somebody might be seeing, let's say, a clinical psychologist, and they might refer them out to me for some experiential, and we work together. I've had that piece, or I can be a standalone therapist. So it really just varies.
Great. And I think that knowing that it's not just one thing, it's not just for trauma, it's not just for bipolar or whatever. I think that's really important for people to recognize, that you can look for help in other places aside from just a regular therapist. You don't have to fit a criteria. So I think that definitely answered the question. And now, Cathy, I have your contact information running on the screen below us. But people who are not in Singapore, how can they find, is there an association in the US or UK that you know of, or worldwide, how can they find this kind of therapy?
Yeah, and it's Equine-Assisted Therapy. It's worldwide, and I think I don't really know of an association. There's different organizations. So, like I said, I'm through Natural Lifemanship. They can Google that and find therapists in their area, or email them and say, "Hey, I'm in Hawaii." That's where I am in my brain. But I'm in Hawaii. I'm wondering if there's any equine assisted therapy here. There's also EGALA, which is EAGALA. There's PATH. So there's these different organizations. But I would think in your area, if you just Google equine assisted therapy in whatever town you're in, things will come up. It's all over the US, it's all over Europe, it's all over Australia. It's quite new in Singapore, but yeah, it's easy. I think it's quite easy to find.
Great. Well, Cathy, thanks so much for explaining everything today and talking with us about connection and how to be your authentic self and understand that it's not all about you and it may be something else, or, how do you connect with relationships? I think that that's all really useful. And I hope everyone watching has found this information valuable, and maybe you'll look at equine assisted therapy in the future. So Cathy, thanks so much for talking with me today. And I look forward to working with you and Mimo soon.
Please.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It was a really profound moment when I worked with Mimo, and I'm not sure I've been articulating this as strongly as I feel about it, but it felt like a real connection and grace and heartfelt. And when you're feeling bad, when you're struggling, these are moments that you need to feel in order to heal and feel better. And I hope that maybe you'll consider equine-assisted therapy to sort of, help you on in your journey. So thanks everybody for watching today. Thanks for being here live. If you're watching live, I appreciate you very much. And I look forward to talking with you on Bipolar Phoenix Andrea next time.